All right, guys. So welcome to another episode of the Journey. I got my buddy Adam here.
What's up?
Adam Atkinson. We're in the shop here, trying to fit us two in here and make it a little easier. It's not as decorated as the normal place, but yeah, it's good to have you, buddy.
Thank you.
We've done a few of these before on my old podcast, and now we got to make a proper one.
Yeah.
So my buddy Adam here is probably like one of two friends I have from Evanston anymore. He's obviously doesn't live anymore, but Adam and me have been friends for quite a while, known each other for a long time.
Yep.
And I got Adam to go on his first safari back in 2021.
2021.
I was supposed to go with him, but I bailed.
You know, things happen, but you know, get me that first initial push, like it at first, like it's like anybody's like biggest concern. They always think Africa is super expensive. If you compare the price, like a Texas hunt, like on a weekend, versus 7 days hunting in Africa, or even, you know, a weekend bull elk hunt or mule deer hunt here in the States, the amount of effort, the amount of work you do, whether if you do, you know, pre-scouting, and the time and effort and energy it takes into actually trying to accomplish shooting a big trophy mule deer, big trophy bull elk, anything like that besides hunting on a ranch in Texas. Hunting Africa is by far, now that I've done a handful of trips, hunting Africa is by far the easiest way to experience it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you know, when you got me to go in 2021, like, nerves were super high. I was like, I didn't know what to expect, didn't know what to even think. What do I need to pack? I packed 7 days worth of clothes. You know, I didn't bring a gun.
Took your knife into the airport?
Yeah, I took my knife into the airport. They took it away from me because I wasn't thinking of really what I needed and how I needed to go about it. I just was bringing everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Besides a gun, because I was just gonna rent one from them.
Yeah.
And now that I've done it, I'm actually going again in 2024. We're going for a lion, hippo, and giraffe. This will be my 4th trip. I've gone every year since, and if you price it per animal from Africa to per animal here in the States,
hands down,
it's hands down so much cheaper.
Yeah.
Especially, and then we're going by like plains game.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
If you start getting into the dangerous game, yes, it's depending on where you hunt and things like that.
When
now
you
that
go
I'm
to Tanzania, Uganda, a place like that, it's different. But we're talking Southern Africa, maybe in South Africa.
Yep. Southern Africa, you know, a basic package with some of the outfitters. You know, you have impala, kudu, blesbuck, zebra, wildebeest, warthog.
Warthogs are always on like a package.
Oh yeah, warthogs are they're pretty much free. You know, you can shoot an impala for $350 to $400 depending on the outfit. And people are like, well, you can shoot those in Texas. Okay, yeah, go shoot one in Texas, and you'll pay $7,500 to $8,000.
Yeah, it's night and day difference. It's crazy, the price on that.
Yeah, and the thing is you spend a weekend in Texas, and, you know, some of those Texas hunting ranches, awesome, super cool. I've done it. I went and did my access this just last year on a Texas ranch because I wanted to shoot one.
Mm-hmm.
Hospitality was great, food was great, ranch was awesome. They have tons of different exotic species and things like that, but you're there for a weekend. It's kind of like I don't want to say it's a hustle and bustle.
It's in and out.
But it's in and out.
Yeah. Even a 7-day safari and a 5-day, because you've done a 5-day too.
I've done a 5-day. I've done a 5-day safari in Africa. When I shot the buffalo with a crossbow.
Yeah.
And a few other little items, and then I've done a lot of 7-day now.
Yeah.
And it's really hunting Africa for 7 days. People think, oh, that must go quick. It really doesn't. Like
I feel like it goes by super quick.
Like
for me.
to me, it's like, well, I mean, I haven't done like a 14 or a 21 day safari, so I can't compare the two. But when I've gone and I've done a 2 7s and a 5, and then again I'm doing another 7-day safari. But you know, to me, it's like, man, hunting Africa, it's changed my aspect on everything. I'd much rather go over to Africa and hunt Africa than realistically hunt here in the States. Like I still put in for my deer and elk and antelope for draw tags in New Mexico. That's where I'm staying. That's where I live now. But hunting in Africa, it's a totally different ballgame, and it's not that expensive to go over and hunt.
So let's we'll start like at the very beginning here. Like, you know, we were talking, you were hanging out at the shop one day. Were you on days off?
I was up here on days off, and that's when I was kind of bouncing between days off, and I was coming up here and helping you guys doing some projects with some of the oil field construction that you guys were doing. And I was up here on days off, and we were just up in your office, and you're like, hey, you want to go to Africa? And I was like, oh, funny, you know, laugh, ha, fun and games. Yeah. Because whenever we've always hung out, it's always been like, you know, when are you going to go? When are you going to go? And I just never done it. Well, you know, Mackenzie called up Michael with Rhino Land Safaris on WhatsApp, and we were right there, because I was like, well, I don't want to shoot a zebra. It's like shooting a horse.
Yeah, because I had a package for you.
Because you had a package all set up. It was a
custom package.
Yeah, it was a sable was the trophy animal. And then you had zebra, impala, blesbuck, and wildebeest. And you're like, well, you can add animals too. And you guys were like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that.
But we called Michael up. And he's like, oh yeah, let's get it done. Let's do it. And I was like, well, okay, well, when are we gonna leave? He goes, well, you're gonna leave in 3 weeks. And I went, because I was supposed to go.
Because you were gonna come with me. And then you had some things happen with the shop, and
that's my
the
gym.
Buying the gym. And you needed to stay here you had to be here to sign papers and things like that. But yeah. But, you know, realistically, it was almost kind of like, you know, even though it would have been super awesome to have you there, but it was super interesting because I've never done like an international travel by myself. Yeah. I mean, I've done the trip, go to Mexico and things like that, but I've never like went around the world type of thing. And sure enough, man, it worked out. We got it on my days off from work, bought airplane tickets, and flew over there, landed, you know, flew from Salt Lake. No, I flew from Midland to Dallas, and then I flew actually from Dallas clear to New Jersey.
Oh, okay. And
then I flew over to Doha, and then down.
Okay, so you did the long route that time.
Yeah, that was because that was the only way I could get over there.
Gotcha.
And what an experience that was. Like, mind-boggling.
I know you were WhatsApping me the whole time.
The whole time, I was so nervous. I didn't know what to do.
On the seat, here we are. Like,
dude,
play.
Because it was just never. Personally, I've always seen the videos, you know, the Jim Shockey videos and things like that, and I was like, man, how cool would that be? And you know, hearing stories that, you know, you in Zambia or you in Ethiopia or even South Africa when you did the Big Five and stuff, to me it was just like, man, how cool would that be? But then it was like, let's make it a reality. Like let's do it. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing, you know, working with you and, you know, at least having that point of contact, it's nothing that like right at first I had to put a whole bunch of money down at first, because one, I had enough, but it wasn't enough to be able to cover everything. And the cool thing about it is, you know, with those guys, I didn't have to do a down payment right at first, because it was like, here's a friend of mine, this is what we got. You know, I showed him, you know, just to let him know that I had the money. I sent a screenshot to him on WhatsApp, like, here's what I have in my bank account. I can't drain everything, but like I have money to pay for you guys. Yeah. But he's like, no, we'll worry about that when you get over here. Here's the package. This is the package you got. And you know, flying over there was super nerve-wracking, but getting there, I mean, they met me at the airport, picked me up. We drove into, because I got in super late, and so we actually stayed at Marcel's parents' house.
I remember telling me that.
That night.
Now, are they in Joburg? Or
no, they're in Pretoria.
Pretoria. Okay.
Yeah, they're just on the outskirts of Pretoria.
So what was that, like an hour drive from the airport?
It's like an hour and a half. It's like from us here in Wyoming. It's like driving to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So it wasn't terrible. You know, and when I got there, awesome. His mom had food, dinner all ready for me and things like that. So in and itself, like just that little bit was like, oh, nerve-wracking.
You got the family treatment.
I got family treatment for sure. And, you know, like, and I think that, like, that trip is what ignited dynamite in me. about realistically international hunting.
Because you were waiting, there was another couple that was supposed to go.
Yes, so
and they didn't show up because they had booked flights through themselves and went, because I had you booked through Patrick, right?
Yep,
You
I
booked
went
through my
through
buddy
Patrick.
Patrick Wright, and he's the guy that I book all my stuff
yeah,
with.
we went through
It's
PWP
Yep.
travel, and dude, it's working with him was outstanding because it was just like, oh, you want to go here, and you hear the little keyboard, and then he was like, okay, got you here, here you go.
Rifles, no rifles, cool.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like the people that didn't go through him like I suggested,
Yep.
they end up having a
They
missed flights,
Yep.
got stuck places.
Yep.
And so that was just like kind of a key point is I want to emphasize is you can book flights to Africa by yourself pretty easy. You know, especially if you're not taking a rifle.
Yeah, if you're not taking a rifle.
But still, there's, you know, making the connections, the layovers, understanding that stuff gets a little tricky. So that's why I always use a booking agent, no matter where I go international.
Right.
But
You got to, because
especially if it's a rifle, you have to, because I've had buddies, I had buddies that would actually, they booked through Travelocity to go on a hunt that I told them to go on, and they booked through an airline that wouldn't allow rifles, and they only found that out 24 hours before they left, so they didn't even, they left their rifles at home.
That's wild.
And had to rent it, but it's just funny, it's like,
Yeah.
they didn't realize, he called me like, dude, they don't allow rifles, I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, don't
look through
and that's the thing that I learned too is, you know, and I remember when we talked about it, it's like, hey, you can go through my agent, and I was like, no, I'll figure it out. Then but then I remember I called you the next day and was like, no, I'm not gonna risk it,
Yeah.
and I'm glad I didn't, because even though it was a little bit more with his surcharge, even though it was a little bit more than what the normal price of the ticket was,
pennies to peace of mind.
but everything was already handled.
Yeah.
Because I had a mix up in Dallas, and I went to the ticket booth, and they already had my ticket for the next flight.
Yeah.
That's why I had to go to New Jersey, because I missed the flight going into Dallas.
From Dallas till I get Atlanta,
Yeah.
probably. There
Yeah.
you go. Okay.
And so that's when I went to New Jersey, and then I came straight down.
Gosh, I remember that.
But it was no problem whatsoever. Like, they're like, oh, Adam Atkinson, you need to go to this ticket booth.
Yeah.
And I went there and I was like, well, I'm here to, and they're like, oh yeah, here you go. And they already had boarding passes, tickets. They had meal vouchers that I could go in anywhere in the airport, because I had a longer layover now.
Yeah.
That they had, it was like 100.
And you didn't miss your flight. Your other flight from Midland was the one that was delayed.
Yep.
Yeah, because you ended up taking off like 3 hours later or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't
because-
like you missed the flight. It was like.
Well, actually, it was.
Did you miss the flight?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, really?
Because I didn't know. It was partially just after COVID,
Mhm.
so you had to have all the invitation and everything,
Okay.
and I had it on my phone,
Mhm.
but they had to have it
Physical?
physical.
Mm.
And so I was like, well, and luckily enough, the guy's like, I don't know what to tell you. And the one gal was like, you have it on your phone? I go, yeah, it's on my phone. She goes, email it to me.
Right
So
on.
I emailed it to her, and she printed off all my documentation.
Mm.
And then she's like, well, where's your, because you had to fill out like the addresses and where you were going and who you were staying with. And I didn't know about it. I didn't fill that out. I must have missed it when I was going through all the attachments.
Yeah.
And so by the time I got upstairs and through security, even though Midland's a super, super smart airport,
Yeah.
by the time I got through the little security, and then that's when they found my Leatherman, and I had to go back out, and I actually I shoved it in a plant, and then ran back in. Had to go back through security again. It was just a whole mess on my part, because I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And we finally got on the plane, got to Dallas, got all that situated. After that, once you got on the plane and things like that, it was smooth sailing from there. Because then everything, all my connections in Doha and all that other stuff was all lined out perfect.
Cool.
And so, and then I had, it was Sam and Todd,
yeah.
that were coming with me. And I actually, from Instagram and stuff like that, and Facebook, we had we were texting back and forth and on WhatsApp. And they ended up flying from like LA to like...
Wasn't it Germany? Denmark or somewhere?
No, that was with the second group that I went
Okay,
with.
yeah, sorry. We'll go to that story next.
But it was just a whole crapshoot, and that's when we just learned, like, okay, if you're gonna go international travel, especially with hunting or anything,
book it with Patrick.
Just book it with Patrick, because dude, they're so good.
This is a plug for Patrick, right?
Like this is so good. Those guys were so fast, and they had everything top notch.
Yeah.
Everything was all ready to go. And then we got to Africa, and we got to Rhino
Todd and Sam got there. You guys drove in the camp.
Drove in the camp.
As soon as you got out of the truck, what'd they have for you?
Oh, you have like they call it a cherry.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a sparkling wine.
Mm-hmm.
Super good. They have wet cloths because you've been traveling for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And so you're able to wipe your hands off, wipe your face off, and everything like that. And then it was like, let's get the rifle sighted in. Let's get hunting.
Yeah.
Like it was game on.
Because you were technically already a little bit behind.
We were a day late.
Yeah. You should have been hunting that morning, but you ended up hunting that afternoon.
Yep.
So you missed half a day.
We missed half the day. But the cool thing about it is both me and Todd, we both ended up taking some really awesome big Impala, big mature rams that night.
Yeah.
And so it was super cool. And then the next day it was game on, and we just started wiping stuff out. And while I was there, in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, this is going to be a one and done trip. So let's add a kudu and let's add a nyala. Because we just started seeing them everywhere. And ended up taking an awesome nyala with Todd because Marcel was in the bushes doing some business. And then we ended up taking a great big mature kudu now that I have double pedestaled together. But that was in 2021, and it came back, and that's what ignited the fire. Like that was when it was like, game on. Like this is super
you liked
awesome.
It.
Oh, I loved it. Like it was. That's honestly now like when we talk hunting or like even with guys I work with, I always try to tell them like, dude, you got to come hunt in Africa because it's mind-boggling how. And we're not talking shipping of the animals. We're not talking the taxidermy. The flights. Flights, it depends on when you get them. Flights can run from $1,200 to $2,500.
Dude, they haven't changed. Flights literally haven't, like, my first trip to Africa was like $1,800.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that was 2007. So they haven't changed much in like the last 15 years.
And the biggest thing too is like, if you know like, okay, I want to go, and you plan it like 6 months in advance and buy your ticket. Like, I bought my ticket in 2023 in October
for
this
May
May
trip. Okay.
And it was like right around $1,800 or $1,900, and that was before Patrick's I think he has a $300 fee.
Yeah.
But that was what the plane ticket was for every round trip.
Yeah.
And to me it's like, dude, you do that. By the time your trip comes, you've paid for that airfare 3-4 different times.
Yeah.
And so to me it's definitely, to me I love it, like 100%. Like I much rather would wait a full year every year to go spend a week in Africa than I hope I draw a tag.
Yeah.
That's nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, and not only that, the amount of game you see over here. You go deer hunting, you go elk hunting. What you see, depending
Hell,
on.
we went elk hunting for your late season tag. We didn't even see a freaking animal.
We didn't see one. Well, we saw the ones that were in town.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah.
And so it's like, but you go over there, every corner, every turn, every bush.
There's something.
Something. Not only that, but just the view.
It's spectacular.
Being out there. The last couple times I've had my hunts filmed now, and well, that's another addicting aspect of it now too. Because
it's a little more expensive, but it's great to have.
It's
well worth it.
It's
well
phenomenal.
Worth it.
If you're one of the ones that you think, I want to hunt Africa, I want to do it one time, I'd highly
never do it just once.
Yeah. I mean, for those that do it once, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. How do you
not figure out to go back again?
But you should film it if you think it's going to be your one safari.
If you think it's going to be one, get it filmed by all means, and even especially if you like, biggest thing, like if you're doing like something cool and not just, all plains game are cool, but if you're doing like a kudu, if you're doing a sable, if you're doing something
glamour games,
something that has a little bit of the glamour to it, it's unreal. And then 2022 comes, and I decide to pull the trigger again, and we go again, but this time
you went early. You went over. You were flying over when I was leaving, going to Cameroon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so.
And it was raining at that time. Non-stop. And this trip was my big trip. I spent 10 days over there.
and I did 14 animals.
He went out on a limb.
I mean, I will say that trip I did spend a lot of money, but
Yeah, a lot of fun though.
but I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I remember.
And not only that, but it's filmed now, so it's on YouTube.
Yeah. What's the point in going to work if you're not gonna enjoy life?
Dude, exactly.
Like, well, neither one of us are married, obviously, and that's a different story. But neither one of us are married. We don't have a lot of hobbies besides hunting.
And
we love Africa. So what if you're gonna make the money? It goes to the aspect of things that's like a lot of people talk about. Well, you're gonna die anyways.
Right.
What are you gonna do with it? You might as well enjoy the hell out of life.
Well, and then
I'm not saying be reckless, but
it doesn't even like even for me, like I have a good job, but I still like going to Africa is my one trip a year.
Yeah.
Like that I know I'm going the next year. So after I come back and I start getting everything paid off and things like that, and getting the taxidermy paid off and things like that, it's like, okay, I'm socking money away again.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm gonna go the next year.
Yeah.
And now that
you have a little hunt fund, pretty much.
Pretty much, 100%, and that's all. I don't do, a whole lot of traveling.
Yeah.
And the nice thing with my job, at least for right now, for the time being, I work 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off.
Yeah. So you have a good amount of time open.
Yeah. So for me, like when I go to Africa, I plan it on my days off, and I leave the following day. Like, so I get off on Tuesday.
You leave Wednesday.
I leave Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then for 2 weeks, I come back to work that next day after Wednesday.
Yeah, so you're not taking any time off for this.
I don't take any time off for it. It's and granted, I have the time to do
Which is great. And there's a ton of people that have that same setup, or they work from home or remote type of deal.
Right.
Like, so there's a lot of people that can make
well,
this type
and
of
then
stuff work.
too, like if I do move up in the company that I'm in, and we go what's called a 980 schedule, well then I work Monday through Friday, but I work every other Friday.
Mm.
And so if I plan it, and I take the Friday off, or I take the following Thursday off when I know I have the Friday off.
Yeah.
And then I take the Monday through Wednesday off. I'm only taking 4 or 5 days of vacation at once, and I'm gonna be gone for another 12 days.
Yeah, because you have to end up having 6 to 7 days off, depending. Sorry, my math is off there. But yeah, you have 6 to 7 days off.
And so, but as of right now, like with my time, to me, like I don't do a whole lot of travel and everything like that. And when we do our little family reunions every year, it's nice enough because my parents and my family, they try to, because I'm the only one that has this oddball schedule. Yeah. So they try to plan it on my days off, where everyone else kind of has the vacation. And realistically, me going to Africa, that's my trip for the year.
Yeah.
Like that's what I save my money for. That's what my interest is in. In 2021, after I came back and I was like, I saw some of like the Cape Buffalo. I saw some of the I saw a couple of the crocodiles and things like that, and the hippos and stuff. And I was like, well, how big of a gun do you got to do to hunt these guys? And they say anything larger than a 375. 375 and up.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, if we're gonna continue to be, if this is gonna be like our thing,
you're gonna build one.
I'm gonna build one.
Because Adam's like a little gun nut. He likes to tinker, build.
So I got with one of my gunsmiths that I trust like with the back of my hand. He does phenomenal work. I can count on him. He fires the guns. He makes sure everything cycles perfectly. And then on my way up from New Mexico, I stop in Utah, pick it up, done, over and done with.
Yeah.
He has sent them down to New Mexico to me, to the gun store that's down there. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you know what, if we're going to do this big hunt, I want the capability where using their guns wasn't bad. Yeah. But there's something different. It's like putting on your buddy's parachutes.
Yeah.
If they fit, but there's just something a little odd about it.
You're wearing your buddy's stinky shoes.
You're wearing your buddy's stinky shoes. And, I'm particular on guns that I shoot. Due to my stature and things like that, I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm left-handed. There's a few little odds and ends that go into when I want to shoot a gun. Mm-hmm. I like, there's certain things that I make sure that it fits me. So we built a 375 Ruger and ported mercury tube in the buttstock, put a little weight in the front, and man, I used to do a lot of long range shooting and things like that, and I have my 375 set up to where I have the dial to where I can shoot 600 yards with a 375. You know, and we took one shot. I shot an Impala and I shot another. We actually ended up shooting a baboon, and I think the baboon was like just under 4, and the other Impala was right around 4 as well.
Oh, nice.
And with a 375 shooting a 300 grain bullet, it just dusted them both.
Nice, dude. That's awesome.
And so it just, you know, now that I'm going again this year.
That was on
the
your
2022
trip. Yeah.
Yep. And then I went in 2023, but I went to another property
That I was supposed to go with.
that
also.
once again you were supposed to. He's done this 3 times.
3 or I think I went twice.
Well, twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, twice. Close enough. This next time it'll probably be 3. But no, so we went and we got with Danny Gill with African Bow Adventures, because I got a great deal on a buffalo.
Yeah.
It was almost one of those things where it's like you can't pass.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah, I texted you like, hey, Donnie sent me a message. You want to do one of these?
Yeah.
And you're like, well, hell yeah, when we going?
Yeah, exactly. And so we got that set up, and I ended up taking an awesome buffalo with a crossbow. Never shot a crossbow in my life. Last year, actually, it just kind of popped up on my Facebook feed. In November, it'd been a year since I started shooting a bow.
Nice.
And so I was super nervous on that. Brought my bow with me, and we ended up taking a cool white blessed buck. Took an awesome spring buck. We actually did a spot and stalk on a red hartebeest.
Nice.
And shot him at 30 yards, and then we shot my Cape Buffalo at 18 with the crossbow. And I was amazed of how, because I mean, once again, I got a short draw. I'm only pulling 55 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I was a little nervous, obviously, with African game. Like, okay, how well is this gonna manage? And man, it just punched every animal we shot. It just cleaned right through.
Yeah, especially that hartebeest. And this is all on film. Donnie put it on YouTube already.
Yep, it's with African Bow Hunting Adventures. And I shot my red hartebeest at 30 yards and double lunged him. Like, just shot through, like, it almost looks like a diamond of trees. And perfect.
Tell me your second shot.
Second shot, he came in like 10 yards. I didn't know he moved. Because we kind of got to move around a bush, and they wanted me to put another arrow in him just to get him down and have it be over and done with, kind of a secure shot.
Yeah.
Well, I still thought he was at 30 yards, so I hold my second pin on him, and my arrow went blasting right above him.
I like how you say it, like.
Yeah, it clipped every branch, every tree for a mile, I bet.
Yeah, I've done that a lot. I've hit a lot of shit.
But you know, it's like, for my first time shooting my bow, and actually, instead of using targets and things like that, but actually on animals.
Yeah.
Like, I was very impressed with, not only that, but dude, I was shooting my bow every day.
Yeah.
Like,
you were always sending texts,
like,
pictures, your groupings, all this stuff.
Like, I was so nervous because I didn't want to make, like, I still, no matter what I hunt with, whether it end up being a muzzleloader, a bow, a rifle, I want to try to make it as lethal kill as possible. My goal isn't to try to just get the animal down.
Yeah.
My goal is to make it quick
Best
and
shot you
fast
can.
death,
Yeah.
as fast as I can. Do I not always do that? No. I mean, I'm
human.
Yeah. You make mistakes. Like for instance, with my croc. Luckily enough, it was in the pond, and where we came into this big watering hole. And my first shot, I had it dead center on his behind the smile. Well, his foot was in the way, and I shot his foot, and he went into the water for 3 days. I mean, things happen.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, he was in this big watering hole because they had a bunch of flooding.
Yeah.
And if that would have been anywhere else, sayonara.
Expensive splash.
Sign your check.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, where he was at, he stayed there. But he didn't come out. He didn't come up for like 3 days. We didn't see him for 3 days. And finally, I always make the joke like, oh, I was just letting him know I was there.
Yeah.
But he finally, some of the trackers and skinners that were at the lodge saw him up on the bank, and they radioed us. And then we actually got in, and where we were, we had to take our shoes off and be in socks, and it was kind of rainy, so we took off our rain jackets to try to minimize as much rubbing, slicking sound as possible. And then we got in, pulled the shot, dusted him, and he ended up being it actually was a female, and it ended up being just right at 13 feet.
Nice, that's a good croak.
You know, and that trip was, I kind of wanted it to go crazy because I think it was just like, I've always seen like coming over and seeing your house and things like that, and seeing what you and your dad have done and stuff like that. It was like, man, I want to go on a big safari. I want to do a giant, like, get as many animals as possible.
You did a good job.
And
that was a good safari.
But dude, honestly, like, it was rough. Like, even though you drive around everywhere, get out, do your spot and stock, sometimes with opportunities arise, and you're in the truck.
Yeah.
Like, things just happen. You can't control it.
You guys were trying to do night hunting for some certain species.
Yeah, we did. We were looking for like genet, civet. Those were like the main two for like night hunting.
Yeah.
But
and you didn't end up getting the civet. You ended up getting a caracal.
I got a caracal instead, which was awesome because those guys were saying that they've seen them on their property, but no one has ever taken one in a very, very long time.
That's cool.
And so that was super unique, super fun. And then, you know, with 14 animals on the list, it was like, and I finished one of the biggest goals going over there was to start the Tiny Tin.
Yeah.
And to finish my Spiral Horn Slam.
Yeah, the rhino, at the one that they have at Rhino.
Yep.
What's available.
Yeah, what's available.
Yeah. And that means you got a kudu, a bushbuck, a nyala, and an eland, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the first trip I did my kudu and nyala.
Yeah.
And then in 2022 when I went over and did the big hunt,
yeah.
I did my eland and my bushbuck.
Cool.
And we shot the bushbuck right as the sun was going down. Like, it was like a little bit of light behind us, and where we were hunting, it was dark.
Yeah.
So like, we didn't have a whole lot of shooting light left, and you know, I ended up hitting him just shy of the front leg in the back, just because he kept walking away from us. And
he
that
dropped,
was he just dropped because that was the only shot I had.
Yeah.
And it was like we'd been looking for 4 days for him, along with other animals, but just that was our opportunity.
Yeah, so now you're going back again this year, and you got a big safari. Not very many species, but big species,
big
key species. So like, you jumped head first into it.
100%. I cannonballed into this thing.
You can, yeah. That's a good way of putting it. You cannonballed into this thing. So for people, like, I get a lot of people, you know, like I just did the safari help questions, and I had a guy be like, dude, I've never done this. Might as well do it, and might as well. He pretty much said the exact. He's like, I might as well dive in.
Yep.
And he gave me a list of species or whatever. But like, for someone that's on the fence about it, like a lot of people, you kind of debunk the travel thing. You can rent a rifle from most good outfits. You can take your own. I know we're talking about Patrick a lot, but I would use PWP travel because Patrick is hands down.
Well,
he's gotten me out of so much different shit. Like, I was in Zambia, and it was like, it had to be like 3 in the morning where he was. And, because he's in Texas.
Yeah.
And I was texting like, dude, this lady's not letting me on the flight because I was actually leaving a little early, and on my permit it wasn't like...
It wasn't designated for it.
Yeah, it wasn't the day, and it was like a mess. They weren't going to let me on the flight. I'm like, dude, figure this out. I'm not sitting in the damn airport. Like,
right.
He got it figured out, got me squared away, and I got on the plane. Like, Patrick has saved me multiple times.
Even for me, like, when I did the big hunt in 2022, I actually ended up extending 2 days.
Oh, okay.
And it didn't cost me anything.
Yeah.
What was crazy, if I was to extend it 1 day, it was going to be another $1,500, or if I was to extend it 3 days, it was going to be like $2,500. But the 2 days,
He figured out there's a difference.
There was no. It kept everything the same.
Oh, cool. 'Cause of pricing.
Yep.
1 day was a more busy. The other 2 days were more busy
I guess
fly days.
that's the only thing I can think of. And then we went over with Donnie Gill of African Bow Hunter Adventures, did 4 animals with him, with my bow, which was a lot of fun. Obviously, like, being a rifle hunter and kind of jumping into bow hunting is definitely different.
And you took your own bow.
I took my own
So let's
bow.
go down that road real quick for people. Like, there's a lot of bow hunters that want to go the first
Dude,
time. How easy was it for you to take a bow?
It's 10 times easier than taking a gun.
Oh, it's simple. They
Like,
don't care.
They don't even care.
Nah.
You don't even have to claim it as a firearm. You just say, I have a bow, and they're like, oh, okay. And they put the same tag as your rifle. But I did notice, too, when I was coming back into the States, going over there wasn't a big issue.
Yeah, coming in, they want to make sure.
Yep, coming in, I had to open it up,
Yeah.
and I had to make sure that there was no firearm. It was a bow.
Yeah.
Because they kept telling me it was a rifle case, and I was like, well, it's a case,
It's a case, yeah.
but there's a bow in it, and so
Yeah.
I showed him, and that was, and he was like, oh, okay. Wiped it down with one of the little cloths to make sure there's no gun residue or whatever,
Yeah.
and then
On it.
I had to go in and recheck it in and do the same thing. You have to make sure there's no gun in it, lock it back up, off it went.
Yeah.
And that was in Atlanta, and then flew straight to Dallas and then drove home. But taking a boat over was super simple. And see, this year, for me, because I have some big species, I'm going to do an African lioness in the Kalahari, and then we got a permit for a hippo bull over in it's a citrus farm rancher. He has a couple of hippos on his property that he wants taken off.
Oh, nice.
Because they keep going in and tearing up the farmland of the citrus fruit that he's trying to grow.
Gotcha.
So we lucked out there because the hippo permits actually went up almost like double.
Yeah.
So normally they were, last year and the year before, they were anywhere between 8 to 10, and this year they're finding that the permits are going anywhere between 14 and 16.
Gotcha.
And so I was able to luck out that we got a permit at the low cost where they normally are at.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna go do a black giraffe with my bow.
Nice.
So
And what he means by black giraffe is just a super dark giraffe.
yeah, it's not like
It's like it's a slang term for like super dark bulls that they're the most prettiest of them all, and that's like
yeah, their patterns, not necessarily their skin, their patterns, their
dark.
squares are, depending on how old he is, they get so dark that they almost look black. That's
Yeah.
where the terminology comes from. I thought it was like
you thought it was like
I thought it was like a black giraffe, like a black impala, a black springbok.
no.
I'm like, dude, this is gonna be wild. And then obviously doing research and
Yeah.
things like that. It's just that's how you can tell. Not every bull giraffe gets super dark.
yeah,
Just
certain
some
ones
Some's do.
have the genetics. Of
Have the
dark hair.
genetic. Yep.
Like your hair is a lot darker than mine.
Yeah, 100%.
You'd be a black giraffe.
I'd be a black. No, we're not tall enough.
I'd be albino.
I'd be a black springbok maybe.
Yeah.
But no, and that's it all comes down to, taking the initiative. The hardest part about it all is just taking that first step.
Yeah, just get committed.
Right, and the biggest thing, like I've seen like a couple of your podcasts and things like that when you're talking about like safari prep and stuff like that. Physically find out where expo shows are,
Yeah.
and I mean you're gonna see hundreds of them
Yeah.
in South Africa or Tanzania or Zimbabwe or wherever.
Yeah.
Find one that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because most of the time the guys that are there selling the hunts,
That's the guys you're gonna hunt with.
it's usually the guys you're gonna hunt with.
9 times out of 10, yeah.
And so, luckily enough for me, working with you and meeting the guys now and things like that, and now it's like I
Now
have
you're like that little brother.
yeah, 100%. It's so much fun going over there. It's like seeing an extended family.
Yeah.
And so like the biggest thing is like
Hell, you're picking them up at the airport Saturday.
yeah,
Yeah.
getting them set up for the Salt Lake City Expo.
Yeah.
And then they'll be down in Midland for the Western Extravaganza SCI.
And you're gonna go over that.
I'll be to that because I'll be on days off.
Yeah. Cool.
But the biggest
And this
thing,
is Rhino Land Safaris we're talking about. So
Yeah.
if you're going to be around Midland, going to the Extravaganza, make sure to check out Rhino Land Safaris. And if you're at the Western Hunting Expo, they'll be there as well.
Yep. And the biggest thing though is like when you got me that day when I was off up in your shop, is just that first initial step.
Yeah.
And if you take that first initial step, I promise, and you don't even have to, like 9 times out of 10 with the outfitters and things like that, if you're too concerned about bringing home your trophies and you just want that big blown up picture framed, you can do that too. You don't have to bring your mounts back.
Yeah, no, you really don't. Like you don't want to, if you, like there's some outfitters that I've hunted with before, they have big cull packages.
Yep.
And you shoot like 14 animals, 15 animals, 16 animals at a super discounted rate. But they're all cull animals. They have broken horns or smaller ones. Or,
Right. Or they're sick. Or,
females, whatever they're wanting to get cull. And like to me, like you know, some people might not want to bring those back, but you're going to have the memories. Then you get the cheaper discount on the hunt.
Yep.
Hire someone to come film it. Then you have the video as the memory. You don't have, like.
Yep.
But to me, like, even if I did that, I'd be greedy and be like, oh, I want all the back skins.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like
or be like, I just want
Euros.
just send me the euros.
Yeah.
Especially when one like, I'm big now. I've seen a couple like broken horn kudus and some broken horn impalas, and it's like, man, that'd be, or even some broken horn wildebeest.
Yeah.
Super cool. Just unique.
Yeah, it's just
And you don't
different.
need a shoulder mount, like cheapest way in euro and send it home.
Yep. Get it done in Africa, send it back.
Yep. And see, that's like for me, like on that bow hunting trip, I'm getting all my stuff done because I'm not getting a whole lot. I didn't think it was worth getting the dip and pack home and then having to worry about going to another taxidermist.
Yeah, and you're having Split Image do that, and then also at Split Image they do a bunch of cool leather work.
Yep.
And they're gonna build you all sorts of cool
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm doing like a weekend bag. I'm doing a gun case.
Out of your buffalo and the wildebeest.
Yep.
From that trip.
Yeah. Also, I'm doing like a rifle bag. I'm doing a weekend bag. I'm doing a couple rifle slings, a wallet.
Bunch of cool stuff like that.
Yeah, and so it's super cool being in contact with kind of, and that's what takes the step, is getting in contact with these people before you go and kind of making a game plan.
Yeah.
Because, you know, with that first trip that I did, I just was taking your advice. I was like, oh, I have no idea what I'm going to do. And you're like, well, this is what I recommend. So I did it.
Yeah.
And now that I've kind of found another little niche that I've gone through, to me, I'm more than likely to be on, because I found Splitting Imagery. They do some great work.
Yeah.
And on top of that,
They've exported a ton of stuff from you.
they do great exporting. You don't have to worry about. And then not only that, it doesn't come straight to your house. It'll come to their big warehouse.
Yeah.
Where whoever you send it through, like FedEx or whatever, and then depending on that, then you can get it transferred to your house.
Yeah. Or if you have a taxidermist that's local, you just have it shipped to them.
You have it shipped to them.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, man, that's,
if they're USDA approved or whatever.
Yeah, they got to be USDA approved. But you know, we'll see how it goes for the stuff that I'm getting done in Africa, and if it goes well and the things come back, like, great. Because I will say this, I found in doing my own research, granted, it is a little bit more expensive here in the States for the taxidermy, and the quality is good. It is a little bit cheaper in Africa getting it done over there. But I will say this, you have to worry about that stuff getting back. That's the only kind of...
Yeah. I've had it done in both places over the years.
Yeah. And realistically, I think the way they secure them in those crates, man, you could drop those crates 20 feet and more than likely they're going to be okay.
Let's hope they wouldn't do that, but yeah.
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 But
no,
I mean,
they do pretty well in packing, especially when they're mounted in there.
Yeah. And everything, all the mounts are drilled to the sides, and everything's bubble wrapped. Like, when I got the mounts, even from Monarch Taxidermy in Montana, and they delivered it down here, everything was wrapped tight.
Yeah, now it's through trophy transport.
And now it's trophy transport, yeah.
They do a great job.
And so, that was super cool. I didn't have to really worry about that, but I did live in I live in a pretty tight community.
Yeah, so you had to go pick them up at the
so
gas station.
I had to go pick them up at the Pilot, at the old semi gas station. But other than that, I mean, luckily enough for me, it's not like I live super far. I live 3 blocks from it.
Yeah.
And so that was, I wasn't too.
Went down there and stacked a kudu, a sable, like, hey, back it up, boys.
Yep, I had my kudu and yala sable in the back of the truck, and then I had the pedestals, wood mounts in the back seat, along with my the zebra rug, the impala, and the blesbuck.
Yeah. So you had a full house then.
Full house. Now I have a full house. But no, that first initial step is where it's at.
Go.
And to me, it's like, I've learned to, don't negotiate what animals you want to shoot. Basically, pick a package that has the animals you want in it, and then go, because more than likely when you get over there, it's a lot easier. And I'm not saying you have to get them down to pennies on, you're shooting these animals for free, but you can negotiate different animals for different prices by when you get over there.
Yeah, in the heat of the moment.
In the heat of the moment, it's different.
Yeah, totally.
Even when you're adding on animals.
Yeah, totally. Well, especially you don't got to stick to just the package.
No.
I had a guy ask me, he's like, "This is what I want." I'm like, "Cool, but we were talking. He's like, well, is there anything else I should have? I'm like, well, it depends on where you go. Like most of the time, you don't need to know in advance. Some animals you need to know like permits and stuff in advance,
Right.
whatever. You know, in other places in certain countries, yes, you got to know 100% ahead of time, and there's got to be quota allocation stuff like that. But for the most part in South Africa, it's free roam.
Yep.
For the most part. Someone's gonna come on here and say, "Oh, it's not this." Well, that's what I'm saying. The most part.
Yeah.
But you know, you can go over there and you just have a great time.
Oh.
Don't get stressed. Just enjoy it.
Yep, 100%. And that's the biggest thing is like, you know, things happen. Like for me, like that second trip I went over there. I'll
Talk about your steam buck, huh?
I'll still never forget. Well, there's that, but I had my hunting boots on my bag. I set them to the side, loaded my bag up and everything, and walked out the door.
Oh, I never heard that part of the story.
And so all I had some like cross country, like kind of high top tennis shoes.
Those work good too, though.
They do if it's not the rainy season.
Yeah, you went when it was raining though.
Oh, it bring cats and dogs every day.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it, I mean, this is how awesome some of these outfits can be. Is every day I drop my muddy shoes off at the front door of my thing and put my flip flops on, and the next morning my shoes were washed, cleaned, and dried on the front step.
Ready for your rock.
Ready to go again. And they did that every single day because it was just a soup sandwich. Everywhere is just muddy as can be.
Yeah, they take good care of it.
Yeah, and it was just, and not only that, but it's like, dude, most places have excellent chefs, excellent food.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, I've been to Vegas a dozen times, and when I went to Rhino-Land, I'd match them straight across for the chefs.
Chef to chef.
Nice. Dude, it was way better.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the nostalgia feel to it. You're in Africa.
Yeah.
You know, you're enjoying, especially when you get to go out and have the outdoor like
experience. 100%. Yeah. But it's the biggest thing is just taking that step.
Yeah.
It just honestly, it's like I look at it. You know, it's kind of like that Nike saying, "Just do it."
Just do it.
Because I've him and hawed since I've known you. Before taking that first trip, was like, man, I want to do that someday. Man, I want to. And I'm thinking like, when I retire, I'm gonna be able to do this.
Yeah,
not even close. Not even close.
Yeah.
Because now the addiction's in, and it's so much harder. Like you go over there, you'll see thousands of impala. I mean, I'm pretty sure in the 7 days we were there, we probably saw 1,000 impala.
Yeah.
Like every day you'll see 50 to 100.
Yeah.
Easy. And the amount of wildlife that you see compared to we hunting in the western states,
Yeah.
mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Like you go elk hunting, yeah, you might run into a herd, maybe 100, but how often does that really happen?
Yeah, it depends on where you're at. Most places it's not, you know.
No,
especially around here, it's
you run into
unless we're over on Deseret.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
You know, like a little pod.
Yeah.
Especially with deer.
Yeah,
2.
Especially lately after these winters.
You know.
Butchered.
You know, and the only time you see a big group of animals together is our antelope.
Yeah, and even those lately.
Even those, I mean,
they've been taking a pounding from these winters too.
Yeah, and so it's just, I mean, it's the whole kind of gamut of experience, and I look at it like the whole experience starts when you buy that plane ticket.
You're getting pumped and excited,
dude. I remember for 3 weeks straight, I watched nothing but Jim Shockey Adventure.
Yeah,
like it was wild, and you know, and watching different hunting videos on YouTube and things like that, and dude, it's just it's mind-boggling, especially like, you know, a basic package in Africa, and I'm not saying every place is like this, but just I would say an average with your zebra, impala, blesbuck, and wildebeest. Those are your 4 basic budget packages beginning.
Yeah.
Less than $5,000.
Yeah.
Like almost everywhere I've looked, be within that ballpark, and that's what gets you started.
Yeah. Just take the first steps.
Just take the first step, and depending on the outfit, I know some that I've actually been talking to and things like that, that they require $1,000 deposit. You don't have to pay like your whole thing up front.
Yeah.
Like it's just a small deposit up first, and then that's what gets you like oh, I gotta do this now.
Yeah, you have a little bit of commitment to it.
You have a commitment to it, and that is a big step.
Yeah.
Like that is 100%. That was luckily enough for me. I didn't have to do that for my first one.
Yeah.
But and now that I know them so well, like at Rhino Land,
Yeah.
I still give my deposit because it makes me be committed to that dates. Or what I do is we make a plan of like, okay, when are you gonna come? What dates? Things like that, and I buy my plane ticket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, that's nails in the coffin.
Yep.
We're going.
You're committed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you
Unless
can't.
you're me.
Because you can't. Well, from the plane ticket that I got, I couldn't back out.
Yeah.
So we gotta go.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is like now, and with the amount of critters that I've have taken now, for me, now we're getting picky on some of the higher end prices of animals.
Now you're out of the budget package.
Yeah. Now you're out. Now we're. It's almost like it's not necessarily like the animals I want are in packages. It's I want to pay for this one.
Yeah.
Like I make my own package.
Yeah.
Like okay, this is the amount of money I have. Okay, we'll do this is what I want to spend. This is kind of where I'm looking at ballparking.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where we'll go.
Yeah.
Like for me, my goal is I started in 2021 or technically 2022 with shooting that crocodile.
Yeah.
And I made a goal to where setting plans up for my hunting and things like that I want to have the big 5. Hopefully the Tiny 10 is going to be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But definitely the big 5, Dangerous 7.
Yeah.
By 2030.
Because you'll be, how old will you be in 2030?
So
you'll be close in 2025.
I'll be 40 in 2025.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I made it. And that was the other goal too.
I thought that was the goal was 2025.
There's no way. 2027 is the main goal.
Okay.
But with doing the Tiny 10,
yeah.
I extended it to 2030.
Gotcha.
Not necessarily by what my ages would be, but I want to be able to have the Dangerous 7 and the Tiny 10 completed.
That's a good goal.
And so 2025, we kind of already have things set up. I'm gonna do my elephant and my rhino. I'm gonna dart a rhino.
Yep.
Just in South Africa. But that'll be my 40th birthday, and I was like, you know what, we're gonna
Going
do
out the bang on 40.
Yeah, we're gonna do a big bang because it's like, man, 40 years old. I already have it set with Patrick. We've already been looking at flights and things like that, prepping. Because I'm gonna do like business class where you can lay down in the seat and
you can lay down in economy, bro.
I know, but like I just for my birthday and things like that. 2025 is gonna be a big one, and then we already are the wheels are already turning for 2027 to do my leopard in Namibia.
Nice, cool. Well, where can people find you at, Adam, to follow along? Because this guy is hunting like a machine.
Yeah. So right now, Facebook is Adam Atkinson. But my Instagram is Master of the Little People on Instagram, and I don't have TikTok. I don't have anything else. Is my main source of like social media is Instagram.
Instagram, cool. Well, guys, you heard from Adam. Just go. Take the first step. And make it happen.
You can't look back. Like if you start second guessing yourself, I promise you won't go. But if you
book the flights, put the deposit down.
You're gonna go
and get going.
Yep, 100%. Because and then you'll look back and be like, man, this was easy.
Yeah,
100%. And then probably within 2 or 3 years, you'll be at it again.
Yeah,
I promise. Because it's so addicting and so mind blowing. Realistically, of how easy it is to do a South African safari.
Yeah, they're easy. So guys, you heard from Adam. Just do it. Get committed. Rock and roll. Follow along on Adam's adventures. Like he said, he's got a big one coming up here in May, big one next year, and a big one in 2027. But I'm sure there'll be a few in between. And
there always, I always say that, but there always is. And please reach out. I mean, this is coming from someone who had those questions, that had those negative thoughts of because you always hear bad things.
Yeah.
But after doing it, like I got nothing but positive, and not only that, but it's like Mackenzie knows a lot more outfitters than I do, but there's the few outfitters that I've used for what I'm doing right now. I don't need anyone else.
Yeah.
Like
for
that.
sure.
That's the cool thing, and I trust them 100%.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So if you want to follow along, Master of the Little People on Instagram.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for listening to the journey. We're gonna have Adam back on again for sure. Probably more times than a guy can count. So I appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned to the next one.
Have a good one.
Go to Africa.